I'm home.
You're
I've
at
never talked
home.
to anyone in Ireland.
This first thing I gotta ask you. It's an intriguing question. You play the mother of Kevin Bacon's character. How is that like pretending to be the mother of a son that in real life you're only 8 years older than?
Is that right? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Well, I mean, I have my makeup on today, you know what I mean? But when I take off the makeup and pull my hair back, it's not really any difficulty. Somebody said, "Oh, the age makeup was so good." And I said, "Well, it wasn't actually any makeup. It's actually me." But it was so easy. It's embarrassing to tell you. First of all, I'm
Is he
slightly
like a big
embarrassed. Yeah.
child?
I have a daughter who's grown, and I am 75 and I know I'm looking good. No work. I haven't had any work. So really when I take the makeup off and depending on the lighting and the character, it's easy for me to play that age. But I think Kevin looks so much younger than he is. I mean, he does not look his age. He looks like, I think he looks 45, honestly. He's in such good shape. He's lean and he works out. He did all his own stunts. So he really inspired all of us to do our own stunts too. And like a crazy nut, I was out there running around too. But he's so easy to love. I can't tell you. The whole thing was crazy how we got along. Not just Kevin and me, but Jennifer. I love Jennifer Nettles. And when they sing, what's not to love when those two sing together? In fact, they made an album, which is out now on Amazon Music, and just wonderful, wonderful cast. We just loved each other. I'm embarrassed to tell you how easy it was. I didn't have to do much work at all. I felt the character. I mean, I was born in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in Alabama, a little town called Fort Payne. You probably heard of the rock group Alabama. That's where
Yes.
they were from. They had a lot of sock factories. And so I know these people. Now, we didn't live there my whole life. We moved around Georgia, Atlanta, Charlotte, Wilmington, North Carolina, moved around a lot. So my accent, my natural accent is a little bit of everything. But I know that sound. I know that person. I know that kind of working class woman who gets out there and just makes her own way. And I was saying earlier that I could have been Kitty because if we had stayed in the South and circumstances had been different and I had to create my own destiny, I could see me be. I mean, we watch the British and Irish and Scottish detective shows. I love those shows. I mean, we watch them all the time. I love a puzzle. I love detective work. And when you think about it, really, you put a shotgun in my hand and make me a detective, and it's a bail bondsman. And in this case, because Kevin has died and gone to hell and come back, and we're working for the devil killing demons, it's, a little different, but it is detective work. So I feel like, yeah, she could have been me. So finding the accent came right to me, the lower register in my voice, my relationship with him. Easy to love Jennifer Nettles. She and I are both, Georgia families. And so we just hooked up right away. And my grandson, as you mentioned, Maxwell Jenkins, I tell you that Mike, who you've interviewed too, he is so funny in this thing. And I've known those boys too, those Georgia boys, that they run around and they're kind of yes men to anybody that comes along, and then they squeal like girls, So I think he was really cute in it. And Damon, my arch enemy in the show. So yeah, it's just all been a blast. And Kevin's easy to love. Long answer to a short question. Kevin was very easy to love as my son. Now, before we shot, we had barely met. We had done a reading, that's it, and talked a little. But I went over to him before we shot and I said, "Can I hug you? Can you give me a hug?" And he said, "Absolutely." And he gave me a hug. And I said, "I just wanted to, connect." And he said, "Beth, you can hug me anytime you want." And so after that, I felt very comfortable. And I did ask for a hug a time or two after that.
Bess, I gotta ask you in terms of this sort of concept, and it's a great premise. I know there was a book out, an urban fantasy series by David Green, a similar called Hell in Haven. Were you aware of that? And did
No,
it ever come across your attention that there was a sort of book based around this?
no, I didn't know about that. Going to hell and coming back?
No, there was a book, yeah, about Helen Haven who had the character Hope Halloran and sort of stuff like that on it. It's a series by David Green, the author David Green. I think that there's a sort of just premises of it in terms of this, in terms of the
Oh,
series.
no, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
You're enlightening me today about Ireland and now about a book I should read.
I hope I haven't given away any storylines for future sort of seasons.
No, I haven't heard any. I mean, I know that they've been working on some, but we haven't heard if we're being picked up. I have a good feeling. I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, no one's given me anything specific of what we'll be doing. So my husband has all these ideas, and he says them like they're actually happening. Well, I think they need to go on the road, and and I say, okay, well, good. You know, I think it's up to them, though. I think that the writers and Blumhouse and Amazon might have something to say about all that. So we'll see what they come up with. But oh, I'm so hopeful.
The director producer David Granger, what was he like to work with in terms of his vision?
You know, actually, it's funny. His name is actually Granger David. And
Oh,
everybody says David Granger, as did I, because it's more usual the other way around. But oh, he's a delight. And he created this for me. I'm not for me, but and I felt like it was for me, but no, it was not created for Beth Grant. And then Eric Olson, the showrunner, worked with him so beautifully. And they had a great writer's room and they really knocked out all these storylines. They were just all heaven for me. I mean, Granger said to me one time, any problem that you have with any line on the set, if I'm not there, just text me, and we'll work it out. And I only did it once, but it was great to know because you don't always have that kind of communication. And Eric Olson has, run other shows. He's a very experienced showrunner. And when we first met on Zoom, I had a Zoom with Granger and Eric and then Kevin, and I fell in love with them. I was so excited. I was going to try to be very, calm and collected and professional. And when they all popped up, I said, "Oh my God, there's so much I want." I know they knew I was a nut. I told my agent afterwards, I said, "Well, they know who I am. So if they want me, they want me." And so it worked out. Thank God they did. I didn't scare them to death. But Eric's question to me was, he said, "How do you like to work?" Well, I can't tell you. Even in small theater experiences, I've had no one in my whole career has ever asked me that. And it touched my heart. And I said, that's so thrilling. And then Kevin was telling me stories about his goats and, funny stories. And I had a cousin, Doris, who had goats in Georgia. And I just felt such a connection with all three of them. I knew that I would be taken care of and I knew that they were going to do it right. And so, yeah, very, very lovely. Oh, I was going to say that Eric said, I like a joyous set. Some of the stuff we're going to be doing is dark, like you mentioned, but the family is what counts. And I want the family of the production to be that way too. And he made sure of that. And Kevin was so lovely. I think it was the very first day of shooting. He gave all of the crew and all of us hats that said hub caps. So, just cute. And I have mine still. My husband wears it all the time, but just very friendly, very loving. And they really set about to create a joyous atmosphere. And they did. And I told Eric that recently. I said, you really did what you said you would do. And I told him that I like to rehearse. And so he gave me that opportunity. And as much as possible, we got to, we do Zooms and we would work on the script. And then he would always say, got anything? And most of the time I didn't have anything, but if I had any tiny little questions or tweaks, they were always open to it. So that was remarkable, actually. And it's so great having Kevin be executive producer and also the star of the show because he could handle stuff as it came up, or he could, help work with the directors and figure out if something wasn't quite right, how we could fix it, whether it be a line or the blocking or my bad acting. Just
No, there's
kidding.
none of that
He,
on
ne-
show, Bet. There's none of that
he
on show.
never gave me any, thank you so much. He never gave me any acting notes. He was always just loving and supportive and just great to work with. So, but I got to the point, his work was so good that I found myself sort of up here watching the scene sometimes because I would be going, wow, he's so good. Look at him handle all those props. Or look at him, he's so real. Look at that nuance. Look at that, whatever it was. And then I'd go get back in character, get back in the scene. I mean, it honestly was kind of thrilling to be working with him and to see that it's not just all those great movies. I mean, I loved him so much in Diner, Barry Levinson. And I had worked with Barry Levinson on Rain Man. And so he had worked with Barry Levinson, on Diner. And so we had that connection. But we were both in the original Flatliners. Now, we didn't have a scene together. I just opened the movie with Joel Schumacher's monologue that was a true story written by his sister-in-law. But he, obviously had a leading role, a starring role. But were, I guess that's it, 1 degree of separation or 0 degrees of separation from that. So now I know we have 0 degrees separation. He's my son, he's my boy. He needs to do right. And he says he will. He says he's going to do better.
Bet one thing that really intrigued me about this concept, and we sometimes see in Hollywood productions that come out in terms of these streaming platforms, the idea of overkill, where there are 15, 16, or 18 episodes of a season one that is dragged out over 4, 5, 6 months, an episode once a week, and sort of by the time it all finishes, the audiences are a bit sort of worn from it, and then you hear the announcement season two, and somewhere along the line the retention falls off. This is nice. It's very simple. It's a nice introduction. It's nice. It's snappy. It's 8 episodes. It keeps you intrigued, and more like it wants you to make out. It wants you more. It keeps you on the bait. You're almost the bait and the hook and the fish. Dare I say? That you've seen the 8 episodes. You've got a sample for it now, and it's almost enticing you to come back for more. It's almost feels like you only got a sample. You haven't seen the whole ambiance or the whole finished project, which some series do.
Oh, I love that you're saying that. And they're only half an hour. I mean, they go so fast. I've already seen it 3 times on my own with my husband and my brother. When I saw it with my brother and my sister-in-law, it was so much fun. I was sitting right between them, and their reactions were so verbal. I couldn't believe it. They would go, "Oh," and then or they would laugh, my brother even got a tear in his eye, when I don't want to give anything away, but that moment, there's a certain moment, I think, musical moment where we're all together and very touching. And so the family aspects, it's funny. I mean, talk about performances. I think, Jennifer and Kevin are just fabulous. And then the music. And anyway, at the end, when something happens at the end and
I
it
know.
does leave you wanting more, my brother and his wife are both going, no, no, you can't leave us like this. No, leaves you wanting more instead of like, I don't think I mean, honestly, I'm not going to say what show, but we just started a show that has, as you say, been over the years. And, I couldn't watch it. We tried just last night and I said, you know what? They've lost me. I'm done. I was done actually a couple years ago, and so I love that they all dropped at once too, because I think binging, I don't know what it is, it's just so much fun to binge a show. It's like going on vacation, like leaving town or something. You go to this other world of entertainment, and this show, I mean, I'm not big in horror. I've done, Stephen King, I did Dark Half, I did Child's Play 2, I've done well, Flatliners was sort of a psychological thriller. And, I've done a bunch of things like that. but I don't do horror per se. In fact, I had told my agent I really don't want to do any because I kept getting offers for really not stuff I didn't like. And she called me about this and she said, this one's a little different. And it stars Kevin Bacon. And I said, okay, because I've been with my agent for 32 years, Julia Buckwall. So I really, I listen to her when she says something like that. And so I read it. Sure enough, I read it right then, and I said, "Right." I read it twice. I called, yes, yes, yes. I want to do it. I want to do it. And I mean, it didn't take me any time at all to say yes. And so I think that this is special in that way. It's entertaining, family, heart, music, and great acting. And to me, I laugh sometimes when those, it sounds awful to say, but when I don't want to give anything away, but when certain demons are killed, you're so glad for them to die. And it's funny. I guess that's in the trailer, so I could say about Kevin with the buzzsaw. And when my husband and I first saw it, we were laughing at that. And I said, look at me laughing and enjoying a horror show. I mean, it's Blumhouse and it's Blumhouse. It's not pretending to be Blumhouse. And so I don't know. I guess maybe I'm changing, but I also think we've delivered, a very unusual, like you said in the very beginning, it's a very unusual tone. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, little bup, 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 and it somehow all comes together and works for me.
Yeah.
So embarrassingly, a little, not that embarrassed. I love my own show.
And Beth, before we came on air, you mentioned another project that you're involved in that might be coming our
Yes.
way later on in 2025. You might give our viewers and listeners a quick insight about that.
Well, there was a best-selling novel, Remarkably Bright Creatures. You might have heard it. Some people call it the Octopus Book, and it's been on the New York Times bestseller for like 66 weeks or something, maybe longer now. And it stars Sally Field, and I just loved working with her and Livy Newman, who did Why the Crawdads Sing, and also First Match, is the director. She's a fabulous director. And it comes out, I would guess they probably could bring it out in the fall because Sally Field is remarkable in it. I loved working with her and seeing her do her transformation. And there's no wonder she has two Oscars, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's another one at some point. Just saying. So you're the first to hear it from me.
Beth, I'm going to turn it over to you now for the final 30 seconds. You might enlighten all our listeners, all our audience, if they haven't seen it before, why they should get on their TV screens now, go to Amazon Prime and check out The Bondsman. And when they do, Beth Grant, what's in store for them?
Well, I think they'll have a rollicking good time. It'll be a roller coaster up and down. You'll be horrified. You'll be scared. You might be a little grossed out. You'll laugh. You'll be moved. You'll love your family more. You'll appreciate family more. You'll see what a good mama Kitty Halloran is. She takes good care of her boys. She's not going to let anything happen to him because family is ride or die.
Okay. On that note, all that's left to say is from me, Jim Conlan, a special thank you to our special guest this evening, Beth Grant. She plays Kitty Halloran in the real current Prime TV series on Amazon Prime at the moment, The Bondsman, alongside Kevin Bacon, Damon Herriman, Jennifer Nettles, Maxwell Jenkins, and the list goes on and on. From me, Jim Conlan, to you, Beth Grant, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
God bless.